Welcome back to Tea Time with Kailee. Today we have a very special guest with us, Karen Horney. Karen, will you please join me for tea?
Hello.
Hi.
Kailee, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a beautiful day
Oh,
out.
yes. It's so beautiful out.
Yes.
Thank you for joining me on the show.
Yes, anything for a friend.
So we're just actually going to get right into it.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So where did you originally live before you came to the U.S.?
I originally lived in Blankenese, Germany.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it true that you developed a crush on your brother, like, at the age of 9?
Yes, that is sadly true. At the age of 9, I did develop a crush on my brother, and he grew embarrassed because of this and pushed me away, and that began my attacks of depression.
Mm-hmm.
It was very hard on me.
Mm. So there's a lot of confusion and controversy that I just want to clear up over the relationship you had with your father. So can you clear up exactly what that looked like?
Yes. My father was a seaman, and he traveled across the world, many countries, many international places, and he brought me many gifts from these places, international gifts, beautiful things, and he also took me on some of his voyages that he had gone on. So many would say that I was a very blessed person, but I did not feel close to my father. I felt deprived of his affections, of his love, and so in return or in reply, I grew closer to my mother emotionally.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yes.
So when you first married Oscar, you found Freud's prediction about how a woman marries her father to be true.
Yes, sadly I did. Oscar was very, very strict and harsh, just as my father was. And so, yes, in a way, in many ways, actually, he was very much like my father.
But I have here that you did not remove your children from that environment, and why is that?
Well, I felt that it was a very good environment for them because they could grow individually and they could become very dependent on themselves, and so that they would get their independence, and I thought that was a very important thing. So the environment taught them that.
Yeah. So 1923, that was a rough year for you.
Yes.
So what all happened there?
My husband Oscar, his business collapsed, and he then became ill with meningitis, and so he was broke, and he was angry, and he acted very cruel towards the family, and he was also very argumentative, and that same year, my brother at age 40 died from a pulmonary infection, and that I became more depressed, and I actually began to have suicidal thoughts. So yes, very difficult.
Okay.
Yes.
So you moved out of Oscar's house in 1926 and then showed up in the U.S. 4 years later. So where did you settle down?
I settled in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yes.
And who all did you meet in Brooklyn?
I met many people, but I met two intellectuals that really influenced me by the names Eric Fromm and Harry Sullivan. So yes, those were the two individuals that were just great men.
And what did you discover in Brooklyn?
Well, it was in Brooklyn that I actually developed my theories on neurosis.
Okay. Very interesting. So why exactly did you leave the institution that taught Freud's views?
Well, I left the institution because I believed that Freud had a very high view of men and a low view of women.
Okay.
Yes.
What did you do after that?
I actually started my own school, actually. I named it the American Institute of Psychoanalysis. So,
Oh,
yes.
that's very cool.
Yes.
So, something huge happened after you died.
Yes.
What was that?
Yes, actually the feminist movement happened. So, that obviously was very huge. But although I didn't survive to see any of the and be alive during the feminist movement, a lot of my views changed the way psychology viewed women. So that's very
Wow,
cool.
that's very cool. Yes.
Yes.
So what exactly did you disagree with when referring to Freud?
Well, I disagree with Freud's idea that men and women had different personalities. I believe that both genders are equal, and that really the difference between the two genders is that society puts on them to be different. Society pushes these two genders to be very different, but I believe personally that they're very equal.
Okay. So is it true that you dealt with depression your whole life?
Yes, I did, sadly.
Wow. So you followed Sigmund Freud's theories, but one led you to studying what?
One of his theories that I disagree with led me to study a woman's primary role in life.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, his theories did actually influence me, led me to studying, but actually in contradiction of what he believed. So.
Okay. And is it true that you worked with one of Sigmund Freud's trainees?
Yes, I did, actually. I did.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. And when was your first book published?
My first book was published in 1937, long time ago.
Yes.
Yes.
And to finish this interview out,
Yes.
when were you born and when did you die?
I was born September 16th, 1885. And I died, sadly, on December 4th, 1952.
All
so,
right.
yes.
Well, thank you for joining me
Of
on my
course.
show.
Anytime.
I loved having you. And please join us next time for our next special guest. I forget the name, but yeah.
I heard that it was Sigmund Freud.
Oh,
I could have been kind
yeah.
of controversial what happened, but yikes! I hope I don't hear what he says about me.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.